Welcome to Driveway Garage. I'm still working on a 2013 Dodge Avenger. It was overheating and water was pouring out, so I replaced the thermostat housing. I'll just show you that real quick in case you haven't had a chance to see it. Obviously it overheated even though they told me it never did. Melted that part. That's where the steam was blowing out of it, so I replaced the whole housing. I made a video on that, and it's not overheating, but it was running bad, so I took this cover off. Thought I'd check the basics, and the spark plugs, 3 of them were kind of brown, 1 of them was an off-white, and it was a little damp, so I figured it must not be firing if it was damp. There's the spark plugs. You can see the third one, this one, is a lot lighter colored. That's the one that wasn't firing. So I switched a couple coils back around, and it still was misfiring or not firing on the same cylinder. So I replaced all 4 spark plugs, and it runs better, starts faster. Before it was really hard to start because you lost 25% of your starting power with a 4 cylinders running on 3 cylinders. Watched a bunch of videos, because if you rev it up to 2,000 RPMs, it'll go to 2,000, then down to 1,800, up to 2,000, down to 1,800. It just goes back and forth. So it seems to me these things have a problem with the throttle body. Let's see, is my light on? Nope, there. The throttle body is right down here. Maybe it'll focus. There it goes. So I'm going to take that off and clean it. And if that doesn't fix it, I'm going to order a new one. You can get them for about $50 off Amazon, all the way up to about $200 depending on where you buy it. Now, to get this hose off, you need to take this clamp off. That's a 5/16. And I did this the other day with a ratchet, but today I'm using my 90-degree cordless drill. It's a lot faster. So I got this one loose, the bottom one loose. Let's see if you can see it. It's right. There's the nut for it. Get those 2 off. I'll take this hose off out of the way, and you got to use some kind of pliers. Water pump pliers work pretty good. Take this clamp off. You can also use needle nose, whatever. I guess they do make a special pair of pliers for it, but I'm going to use some channel locks. So let me get that off of there. And then I should be able to just wiggle this hose out of here, and I'll have access to the throttle body. So I just put the channel locks, opened them up, got them on that clamp, slid it to the back. And now this, oops, I took the wrong one off. I thought it was too easy. I'm supposed to be taking this one off, not that one. Now, there's no room to go this way for the clamp. Now you can try to loosen it with one hand and then pull this out, but what I found works pretty good is just move the clamp from here up to this piece, and it'll sit there and you can pull it out of the rubber tube here. Well, I did a little different. I just loosened it up, pulled the connector out, put the clamp right back where it was. So now this should, let's pull that hose out of the way. And this should just pop off of there. Yep. I don't think I loosened it enough. Let's loosen it a little bit more. Now maybe it'll come off. There we go. Now that comes off, and I'm gonna have to do a little wiggling and maybe loosen that bottom clamp a little bit more. Okay, I got that hose off. Now, there's an electrical connector on the side of this throttle body, which is right there, and you're supposed to be able to just squeeze on the tabs on both sides. Well, and what some guys do is loosen the throttle body and then take it off, but I got to get that electrical connector off, and then there's 4 bolts. You can see one of them right there, and then another one down below it. There's 4 of them, And there's also a bracket. You can kind of see it, it's black right there. Two of the bolts go into that bracket, and one of them is the 5th bolt up here. My hand's right in the way. Right there. That bolt's got to come off. When you take that bolt off and these other bolts, this bracket will come out of there. So I'm going to work on that and get that out of there. So the one bolt is about 2.5 inches long, and it's a 13 millimeter. The others are supposed to be 10 millimeters. So let me get out my 10 millimeter and see if we can get those other 4 bolts off. Then we should be able to pull that throttle body out of there and get that electrical connector off of it. I finally broke down and bought some of these magnetic bowls for nuts and bolts. They sure are handy. Now right now it's sitting on plastic, but it's got a nice magnet in the bottom of it, so it'll sit on the radiator cap wherever you want it. It's really nice for putting your screws and nuts and bolts in instead of just wherever. There's what your 10 millimeter bolt looks like compared to the 13 millimeter. So I'm using my Chemo 90-degree cordless drill or socket, and it's working really good. It's breaking the bolts right loose, so I don't have to use a regular ratchet or breaker bar. They're not that tight. Oh, the bolts are out, and the throttle body just fell right off, so I just have to get that electrical connector off, and it should be able to come right out of there. So this is that bracket that was back in there. The 2 holes by my thumb go to the throttle body. This is the one that goes to the motor or whatever it's bolted to. And then this is the connector. You just squeeze on both sides here toward the top of it, and it loosens it up and it came out. I thought I heard something else fall, but I don't see anything. I don't know if we can get a very good view of the inside of there. My light's kind of in the wrong spot. But this is the throttle body. And they can get kind of dirty inside, but this one doesn't look bad. A little bit of stuff. So I'm just going to take some throttle body cleaner and spray in there and loosen that stuff up. Take a toothbrush, brush around there and try to clean it. Now they say don't force these open when the key's on, but other than that I think it's alright to open them up and clean around there. So I'm going to clean it real quick. And you can see a little daylight through there. I don't know if that's good or bad, but normally, yeah, you can see it on the top too. When you start a vehicle, it's got to be able to have a little bit of air for idle, and then as you give it gas, this opens up wider and wider to allow more air in. But it seems like a pretty common problem for these things to go bad and not regulate the air like they're supposed to. Well, it's not perfect, but I cleaned as much of the black stuff out of there as I could get. Now I use throttle body cleaner. They say don't use parts or brake cleaner, so I use this. You could probably use mass airflow cleaner, maybe, not sure, but this stuff is made for this, so that's what I used. Now I'm going to put it back together and see if the car runs any different, but I have a feeling the way it speeds up and slows down, I'm going to have to replace this whole assembly. And like I said, $50 to $200 depending on where you get them, what brand. Well, that went back in there pretty easy. The bolts are really easy to get to. And like I said, this is 13 millimeter. When I took it out, I used this ratcheting wrench, but when I put it back in, this wiring harness moves out of the way, so I just used my cordless 90-degree Chemo there, ran it right in. So I got all those tight. I'm going to put the air hose back on. I got the wiring harness back on it. I see there's a little plug here. It's supposed to clip into something, but I'm not sure what. I guess it'll just stay right there. maybe that plugs in too, if I remember right, thinking about it. Plugs into this hose right here. It's supposed to. Don't know if it much matters, but I'm gonna get it back together. Then we'll start it, see if it runs any different. So I got this hose slipped on at the bottom, and I slipped it on at the top. That way it's lined up properly. And now I'll tighten up the clamps. Well, I got all the clamps tight. Those two clamps back on where they belong. This hose back on. So now I'm going to start it up. See if it idles any better. Because before, like I said, you rev it up to 2,000 RPMs and it would go back down to 1,800. Sorry. Let's see what it does. Yeah, I don't think it sounds any better. Maybe it does. Nope. Well, it is. It's holding a little more constant. Before, if I tried to hold a constant RPM, oh, there it goes again. It is doing better. I'll take it for a little test drive, see how it drives. So the other day when I fixed the overheating problem, I drove it home, which is 2 miles from where I had parked it and worked on it at a friend of mine's house. And on the way back, it was just running terrible, and there was a triangle with like a lightning bolt in there, and that, from the videos I watched, a lot of guys had that problem, and it was the throttle control not working right. But let's see what it does. Now down there I've got a plug-in phone charger, but it also tells you the voltage that your alternator's putting out. It's a good cheap way to, you can just plug it in and see if your alternator's doing what it's supposed to do. Mine's cranking out 14.1, so that's better than battery voltage. Look at that windshield. Whoever had this car did not clean it very good. Anyway, let's see what it does on a test drive. All right, everybody's gone. I can tell you right now it's running better. The fact that it's not overheating is the big one. Nope, it's still got that hesitation. Or does it? Yep, there it goes. It's almost like it's shifting. It's like it just cuts out a couple hundred RPMs. I'll go down one more block. I'll probably clear my check engine light and then see what pops up this time. It did have a sensor, let's see, camshaft position sensor, but I think that had to do with the bad spark plug. It was firing funny. So I got that fixed, but it's definitely running better. I bought this car to flip it. I was just gonna fix the overheating problem, and I didn't know what all problems it had, because after 5 minutes of running it was overheating so bad I didn't want to test drive it. But it still has just a little bit of hesitation in it, but it's better. I might be able to clean it up and sell it. I don't know. As you guys can see, it's driving not too bad. Definitely better than it was. So I'll drive it some more and see what it does. If it seems like it fixed the problem, I'll probably vacuum the car, wash the windows, put it up for sale. I don't like selling vehicles that don't run right, so if this doesn't fix the problem, then I'm going to order that throttle body and replace it, and then I'll sell it. But the car's in good shape. It's not all torn up. Just had a little overheating problem and a running problem. Yeah, it still has a hesitation. when I give it gas, it doesn't quite want to do a smooth acceleration. So I have a feeling yeah, well, I'm gonna shut this video off. You guys have seen me drive enough, but it's definitely running a lot better. But I think I'm gonna have to replace that throttle body. So I'll get one ordered. It'll be here in a couple days. I'll make a video when I get it replaced and see what changes.